Hey guys, Jen here and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will be showing you how to make another Filipino classic, and that is pan de coco. It is a staple afternoon snack that's perfect to eat with hot coffee. So basically, it's just a bread filled with sweet coconut filling. So if this is something that you'd like, just stick around and I'll show you how it's done. Now let's get into the video. So in a bowl of my stand mixer, I'm gonna combine the flour, sugar, and a little bit of salt. And then I'll give that a quick stir just to disperse the salt. And then I'll add in my instant yeast. I'm using the instant kind of yeast, so unlike active dry yeast, I don't need to bloom it separately with the warm liquids. I can just add it in with the dry ingredients. However, please take note that salt and yeast must not be in contact with each other because the salt will kill the yeast. That's why I gave the dry ingredients a quick stir. Now we can add in the slightly warm milk that's about 110 degrees Fahrenheit and room temperature vegetable oil. And now, using the hook attachment of my stand mixer, I will mix this for about a minute on slow and another 5 to 7 minutes on medium until the dough comes together. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can just knead it using your hands. After about 7 minutes, this is what the dough would look like. So just remove the dough hook attachment and take the dough from the bowl and form it into a ball shape and then transfer it in a new bowl. Just make sure to oil the new bowl so the dough don't stick too much. And then cover the bowl with a cling wrap or a kitchen towel, and then we'll let it rest somewhere warm for about an hour or until it's almost double in size. So while the dough is resting, let's start making the coconut filling. In a medium-sized saucepan, combine your milk, water, brown sugar, and a little bit of butter. And then just give it a quick stir just until the brown sugar has dissolved. Now turn on your stove to medium heat and add in your freshly grated coconut. I'm also gonna add a little bit of salt and we'll cook this for about 7 to 10 minutes or until most of the liquids has reduced to a few tablespoons. I'm using freshly grated coconut. In the Philippines, fresh coconut is very accessible, which is something I love because fresh is always good. However, you can also use desiccated coconut bought from the supermarket. Just expect those to be a lot drier, so you'll have to hydrate them more. You probably would want to double the amount of milk and water. After a few minutes, this is what the coconut filling looks like. It's not too dry, but it's not too wet either, so this is how we want it to be. We can now turn off the heat and set it off to the side to cool. An hour later, the dough has risen to almost double in size. So just remove the cling wrap and punch it down to deflate it. And now we are ready to divide this dough into individual pieces. This recipe makes about 24 medium-sized pan de coco. You can just eyeball it, but I want to make sure that each bread has about the same size. So I'm gonna weigh it. So this entire bread weighs about 1,065 grams. So divided by 24, each bread should be about 44 grams. So I'm gonna be using my handy dandy dough scraper to cut this into pieces. So I like to cut the dough in half first and then work with the first half, and then I'll work on the second half later. So I now have 12 doughs here and I'm gonna set them off to the side because I'm going to work on them one at a time. So first, lightly flour your work surface and put your dough on top of that floured surface. And then you want to put a little bit of flour on top of your dough, and then using your rolling pin, roll this into roughly about 4 to 5 inches in diameter. So that's just a little bit bigger than the palm of your hands. So just put a heaping tablespoon of your coconut filling in the center of your dough, pull the edges together and pinch them to seal, and voila! You have a little pan de coco waiting to be baked. So this is something that you just need to repeat to the rest of the doughs. So I now have 12 doughs filled with coconut filling. Place them on a baking sheet lined with parchment or silicone baking sheet, and we're going to poke some holes on top using a fork. This is where the steam would come out later as they bake, so don't skip this step. Once you've poked all of them, cover it with a cling wrap and leave the rest for 30 minutes. They're going to expand and rise a little bit, so make sure that they have at least about 1.5 inches between them. So after 30 minutes, this is what they look like. They have risen a little bit and we're ready to bake them. But before we bake them, we're gonna brush the top of each dough with some egg wash. And then we're gonna bake this in a 350 degrees Fahrenheit preheated oven for about 20 minutes or until they're golden brown. After 20 minutes of baking, this is what they look like. The top looks golden and that's mainly because of the brown sugar we used for the coconut filling. Some of those overflowed outside, making them look so much nicer. And that's it guys! I hope you liked this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Make sure to hit that notification bell below so you don't miss out on any of my uploads. Thanks for watching! I'll see you on my next video. Bye!